Relationships are rarely built between the entirety of who we are. They are often built between the specific versions of us that were available and active when we first met. Over time, we develop a set of expected behaviors, a social role. For example, you might be the listener, the problem solver, or the one who often agrees. These roles aren't bad. They actually help us feel safe and predictable to one another. But the friction starts when your internal identity shifts, but your external role stays the same. You develop new boundaries or different needs, but the role you play in that relationship hasn't changed. The exhaustion you feel is the mental load of suppressing your current expression to fit into a version of you that is simply old. We keep playing these roles because on a subconscious level we prioritize belonging over authenticity. We know that if we show up as our current evolved selves, it might disrupt the peace. In psychology, this is known as self-monitoring, the act of editing our behavior to fit the environment. We start to edit our thoughts before we speak, predicting their reaction and adjusting our delivery. While we call this keeping the peace, it's actually a form of distance. When you filter yourself to make a relationship work, you aren't actually connecting with that person anymore. You are just managing their perception of you. Eventually, the gap between who you are and who you present as becomes exhausting to maintain. This constant self-editing creates an internal pressure that eventually has to go somewhere. That suppressed energy usually leaks out as a low-level irritation toward the other person. For example, have you noticed all the smallest habits that annoys you about the other? We think our frustration is about them, but often that annoyance is a projection. This is a defense mechanism where we take our own internal lack of freedom and see it as something the other person is doing to us. We aren't actually frustrated with who they are. We are frustrated by the version of ourselves we feel forced to inhabit when we are with them. It's easy to assume that the moment you realize you have outgrown a role, you have to leave. But growth isn't always a clean break. It often involves a liminal space, that uncomfortable in between where the old role is gone but the new one hasn't fully formed yet. In this space, the work is often one of non-striving, simply observing the tension without needing to force a resolution immediately. You are learning what resonates with who you are now and what simply feels out of alignment. It might be enough to just stay present with yourself and notice the moments where you feel the need to diminish your presence. Simple recognition is often the quiet beginning of a natural resolution. To make this concrete, I want to leave you with a question to journal or sit with. In this relationship, what is the specific version of me that I am currently performing? And what part of my authentic self am I most afraid to bring into the room? Relationships are not static. They are containers for growth. Some containers are flexible enough to expand with you, and others are rigid. Outgrowing a role isn't a failure, it's a proof that you are living authentically. You are allowed to evolve past the version of you that started this bond. Whether the relationship deepens to meet the new you or eventually dissolves, the growth you have gained stays with you. Next week, we look at the hidden cost of being the path of least resistance. Until next time.